Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and thanks for tuning in. In today's video, I would like to compare the photo quality of the a5100 to the Sony ZV-E10 to kind of get an idea on how Sony's color science has changed over the years, because the a5100 I think came out in 2014 and the Sony ZV-E10 of course in 2021. While the sensor in both cameras pretty much stayed the same, a lot of other things have actually changed. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, my name is David and I create photography tips and tricks videos as well as street photography POVs here on the channel. So if you're into that, make sure to subscribe. Actually, while you're down there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up because that really helps to get this video in front of other people. But anyways, let's dive right into the video. As I said, a lot has improved since 2014. Of course, we are now getting 4K video and the ability to record in different picture profiles with the ZV-E10. But for the sake of this comparison, I would like to compare straight out of camera JPEGs of both cameras. So yeah, let's head over to the computer and have a look at the images. Alright, so right here we are looking at the first two photos. As you can see, this photo was shot on sunset. I will keep the photos of the ZV-E10 on the left and the photos of the a5100 on the right side. And these two first photos were shot at f8 ISO 100 and 1/30th of a second on the 50mm lens, which is a 75mm full frame equivalent. Okay, so you can immediately tell the difference here. The Sony ZV-E10 leans a lot more towards magenta, and the a5100 is much more on the yellow side, as you can tell here. Overall, I think the ZV-E10 produces a cleaner image, which is a bit more true to the scene compared to what we have here on the a5100. Same holds true across the board here on the gray sweater. So yeah, let's move on to the next photo. All right, so this is another simple shot. I also wanted to get a little bit of water in the frame to see how both cameras render the blues. So let's punch in here again. Let's actually zoom in to 100%. The ZV-E10 leans a bit more towards magenta, while the a5100 is a bit more on the yellow side. Actually, I think the ZV-E10 remains a bit more detail here in the image as well, as we can see here in the tower in the church. Move down here and have a look at the water. Again, ZV-E10 more towards magenta and a5100 a bit more yellowish. All right, on to the next two photos. This is pretty much a close-up shot of the same bridge. We also got a little bit of green here in the frame. The ZV-E10 a little more desaturated in the greens. Again, the a5100 much warmer here. Let's go up here, have a look at the sky. Same here, yellowish on the a5100. A bit more saturated, a bit more blue here on the ZV-E10. And whenever the light shines through, we get that magenta cast here or that yellow cast here on the a5100. Okay, so these two photos are interesting because we got a little bit of white here in the frame, which allows us to white balance both photos and to compare them afterwards. All right, so this photo was shot on the Sigma 16mm f1.4. It's actually shot at f3.5, 1/90th and 1/80th of a second. So we have a slight difference here. Both photos were shot at ISO 100. Again, ZV-E10 a bit more magenta, a5100 a bit more yellowish. Let's actually white balance both photos and compare them again. Well, and now they actually kind of look similar. Let's have a look here at the sky. By the way, I think I forgot to mention both cameras were actually set to auto white balance. So yeah. Here again on the ZV-E10, the blues are a little more saturated, of course, because it leans a bit more towards magenta overall. And yeah, but apart from that, pretty similar results right here. All right, onto the next two photos. This right here is another shot that's been taken on the 16mm at f2.8 ISO 100 and shutter speed 1/30th of a second. In this example, both photos look really similar, apart from the slight color differences again. Let's punch in here a little bit on that graffiti. Overall, I think the photos from the ZV-E10 are a bit more detailed. They also have slightly more contrast, but other than that, these two photos look pretty similar. Okay, so right here we're looking at another portrait. This time we got a lot more water in the frame just to see how both cameras render the blues. Let's punch in here a little. So yeah, I can only repeat myself here. Blues are more saturated, more magenta on the ZV-E10. Of course, same in the sky. Actually, how the ZV-E10 renders the image is much more as I had remembered the scene when I was taking the photo. So yeah, let's have a look here. So yeah, onto the last two photos. Okay, so in this example, I just wanted to check how both cameras perform at very high ISOs. Both of these photos were shot at ISO 1600, f8 1/200th of a second on a 20mm f2.8 lens. Okay, so the first thing that you might notice is that the ZV-E10 here on the left is much more saturated and has a bit more detail overall. But let's have a look at some of the details here. Let's punch in on the table. And the ZV-E10 retains much more details here. Let's zoom in to 100%. And yeah, the a5100 is a lot more blotchy here. Let's have a look at the microphone over here. Well, yeah, you can see there's a big difference here. On the ZV-E10, you can actually tell that there are some dials here and knobs on the microphone. Right here, you can barely identify this thing as a microphone. Let's have a look at these two images here. Well, basically the same result. Much more detail here on the ZV-E10. Let's have a look at the items on the shelf. Again, same results. ZV-E10 retains a little more detail here on higher ISOs, as you would expect from a newer camera. Alright, and this is basically how both cameras compare. As you saw, Sony has come a long way when it comes to its color science. Well, and this might actually come in as a little bit of a surprise because I am going to switch from Sony to Fujifilm, at least when it comes to street photography. And yeah, I will tell you why in a different video, so if you're interested in that, make sure to be subscribed. Also, if you made it this far into the video, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. That would be very much appreciated. As always, if you have any further questions about the Sony ZV-E10 or a5100, please let me know down below in the comments. Well, and that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video.